So 1 week ago, I set myself a challenge to completely transform my health and my weight in a 90-day period. So in this video, I'm going to be recapping week 1 on the challenge, what I have done, how it's gone, how I found it, what I've eaten, exercise, all of those things. I will be sharing some progress videos, progress snaps of how I'm looking now compared to like a week ago, and also my weight. So my weight at the start and my weight now. So it's fair to say it's been a busy week, but also I could say, oh, it's been an extraordinarily busy week, but I think that's just my life. I work 4 long days a week as a lawyer. I have 3 children, ages 7, 5, and 2. Like, let's face it, every week is a bonkers busy week in my life. So I'm not entirely sure that there's any change there. And I definitely factored that in when I decided to embark on this challenge to a degree, because I'm definitely also somebody who just sets myself a challenge and decides to go for it. But I did acknowledge that I had a lot on, and there's also never the right time to start these things. I feel like if I wait for a time when I have, not too many social engagements and work isn't too busy and there aren't too many things on with the kids, etc., to embark on something like this, then it just will never happen. And if I don't start prioritizing my health at some stage, then when will I? I am now 41. I'm going to be 42 next month. And I feel like now is the most important time for me to really do this. Not to say you can't change your health, improve your health at any time in your life. But if I don't start making those changes now, when I get to my 50s and my 60s, I feel like I'm going to seriously regret it. So I have gradually, over the past couple of years, made some really positive improvements when it comes to my health. I feel like I really need to build on those to put me in the best possible position right now for my kids, and also in the future to make sure that I'm around for them for the longest time. So the big changes that I made this week really were to the food that I was eating. So as part of this challenge, I set myself goals. I didn't want to set too many goals because I am working and I have young children, I have lots of other commitments and things going on, right? So I didn't want to set myself too many goals. I didn't want this to be like a 75 hard, ridiculous health challenge. But what I did want to do was eat less sugar. I wanted to eat more protein. I wanted to reintroduce intermittent fasting, which I had seen success with previously. I wanted to continue to run, walk 2 to 3 times a week, because that's something that I have been doing. I wanted to introduce some at-home weight workouts, so just short workouts, 2 to 3 times a week, potentially blocking those onto the run walk. So go for a run walk, come back, do a 15-minute at-home weight workout with dumbbells, like a YouTube video or something like that. Get more sleep. This was a big one. So let's look at all of those things and consider how I did. Increasing my protein. I definitely feel like I increased my protein. I really feel like that was something that I concentrated on and I did well. One of the big things I did was introduce more protein at breakfast. So I was having eggs, I was having boiled eggs, I was having omelets. I also started thinking about using things like Greek yogurt as sauces on salads and that sort of thing more. Just trying to think about how at every meal I could make sure I was having more protein, also increasing my fiber, and just generally decreasing my carbs, refined carbs like bread, that sort of thing, a bit more, because I do love bread. And bread doesn't love me massively. One thing I have been finding was getting quite bloated, feeling a lot of tummy discomfort. And I know that if I decrease the amount of bread I'm having a bit, then that can help. So I'm not eliminating anything from my diet as part of this. I don't want to make anything unrealistic. I still want to be having, treats in moderation. So increased protein, check. Majorly increased fiber, and I have been really enjoying the food. So I was previously really enjoying having an open wrap. I'd have spinach, had lots of veggies, protein, and I thought, why don't I try and bring that back in, except this time eliminate the wrap. So essentially having a spinach base, but then having some kind of healthy carb. So I was having white and red quinoa, just like a microwave pack mix from Lidl, had nothing else in it, I think, except for olive oil. So it's just quinoa, olive oil, in a microwave bag. I was having like half of that each day on top of the spinach, tons of veggies, like a bit of sauerkraut, radishes, cucumbers, tomatoes, and really, really enjoyed that. So I was having protein on top, had like chicken or had cheese or something with those salads. So really, really chunky big salad. Have a sauce on there because I do like a sauce, and I don't want to have a dry salad and hate my food. But I really enjoyed those lunches, like really enjoyed those meals, and felt like I was focusing on looking after myself again. Like I'd really feel like I had made that positive change in mindset to put my health as more of a priority, and that felt really good. One thing I didn't do, which I hadn't really foreseen when I first committed to this challenge, I didn't actually do any run walks because I hurt my foot. So I'd hurt my foot just before this challenge. I had actually walked a half marathon, and that had gone really well. I am a slow run walker, so it taken me just over 2.5 hours, but I was really proud of that time. Really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, I hurt my foot really badly. So that was a tricky one because I had felt like I was going to be, improved and able to do some run walks. What I could have done, I think, is maybe a little bit more walking, but I did do a couple of big walks. I did a 10K sponsored walk with colleagues for a work thing. That was really good fun, and my foot did hurt quite a lot the next day. So my kind of strategy going forward is to build in a few more walks and start to increase my walks so that within the next couple of weeks, hopefully I'm back to doing some shorter run walks and then build up from there. I've had my foot checked. There's nothing like bony gone wrong. There's no like serious injury. So it's a muscle strain of some description, and I need to give it just a bit of time. Weights. Did I manage to do any at-home weight workouts? No, I didn't. I didn't do one single one. I don't think that's necessarily to do with not doing the run walks, although in my head I was going to build them onto the run walks. So then I wasn't doing the run walks. I didn't do the weight workouts. But I could have done them, I could have done them separately. I did find it hard to get everything in my diary. So I feel like I'd overcommitted myself a little bit and just felt that. I felt like, how on earth am I going to build all these things in? But then when I sort of broke it down a bit more in terms of what I'd committed to and how my week was and what things I'd implemented, I thought, let's not focus on what I haven't implemented. Let's focus on what I have, because otherwise I felt like I was getting in quite a negative mindset as the week was coming to an end. What I did do was make some really good improvements to my diet, moved away from the food that I've been having recently back to having much more like fruit and veggies. I feel like by lunchtime I'd had well over my 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, and I felt good for it. Like I physically felt good, less bloating, felt much better. I did have one too many sweet treats, I think. When I looked over what I'd had, I didn't have as many as I normally would have. So that's a positive. I didn't have loads of chocolate and sweets in the afternoon, which is something I have been having. But I did have probably more sweet treats than I thought I should, like if I'm honest. So I think it's going to just take me, maybe like we look at this as an introductory week where I'm just getting back in the hang of things. And some things went really well and some things I can learn from going forward. I was very anxious as the week came to a close as to whether I would have lost any weight at all. Did say to my husband a couple of times, like, oh God, what if I've lost no weight? And then that'll be really embarrassing because I've literally gone on YouTube and said that I'm going to change my health and my body in 90 days. And then I'll have failed at the first week. And those are the words I use. But like, if I hadn't lost weight in the first week, I will have failed. And I had to give myself a really good hard shove, and I'm glad I did yesterday. We went to a friend's in Twickenham in London. We took the kids, we had a lovely day out. And then it was about 5:30 when we left our friends. We'd bought the kids like PJs if we needed to. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It took us 2 hours to get home. And so we knew we'd have to get them some dinner, we had to get them some food. And there were some lovely restaurants. We went to a Persian restaurant. So this is something we haven't really had Persian cuisine with the kids. And it was such a nice restaurant. They were making their own bread in this really cool oven. kids were watching. It was such a nice like family moment. The dinner was amazing. The food was so good. And I had a couple of glasses of wine. I had a really nice dinner. I had what I wanted. And I felt like quite guilty though at the same time. And I think, I also needed to give myself a bit of a kick there. And like, I can't miss out on family moments, family meals, and all those memories because of the challenge. But there are ways I could have worked it in better. So I could have fasted for longer in the day and the lead up to that, acknowledging that I was probably going to have more food that day. And I didn't do that. But equally, it always does take me a little bit of time to get my intermittent fasting window down to what I ideally want it. So I ideally want it to be eating within a 6 to 8 hour window. As close as I can get to a 6 hour window tends to work best for me. And it has taken me, where I found this successful in the past, it's always taken me a few weeks to get to the point where I can get that to a 6 to 8 hour window. And I think that's really like common, very normal. So actually at this point now, I'm feeling pretty positive. I feel like looking at the week in the round as week 1, if we look at this as an introduction to this challenge, I made really good positive changes to my diet. I've started to reduce my eating window and I can reduce that further going forward. I have a clear plan of action. Did I get more sleep? I probably had 2 nights out of like the week where I made more of a concerted effort to get a decent night's sleep. Saying that, that's quite an improvement for me. Is that where I want it to be? Absolutely not. So yeah, we have a lot more to do on sleep, but I was thinking about it much more actively. So going into this week now, again, I've got a lot of social commitments. I've got a lot of work commitments. I have a work dinner on Wednesday night. I know it's going to be a long night. It's going to be rich food. It's going to be boozy. And I need to think about those days in advance. Like, what am I doing to plan around them? And how am I going to manage my, my kind of, I say calories, but I'm not calorie counting, but I have to be aware of it. How am I going to manage my food intake, my eating window on days like that? Tomorrow, I'm in really early. I'm speaking on a panel, which will start from 8 o'clock. There's a networking breakfast. I have to think about that. And actually there, I think what I'm going to do is make a breakfast. I've had a little something. Either my choice is I make a breakfast or I start my eating window after breakfast. So I've got to decide that tonight. What am I doing around that? It's probably a good idea if I have my eating window a bit earlier that day, so I don't have a grumbling tummy when I'm sat up front on a panel and I don't feel like I'm lacking energy. But then I close my eating window earlier that day, so I'm having breakfast, lunch, and a snack, rather than having 3 meals over a long period. Then the next day, where I'm later, I can have a longer fast then through to the next day. Start with lunch and have the dinner, and then sort of be a bit more mindful around how much alcohol I'm having. Am I choosing not to have pudding? Those sort of things. I need to just be more organised, actively think about how I'm planning for these events going forward, and I feel like I've got a much better handle on it. I'm happy with the food. Take some of those sweet snacks out again, just reduce. It's something that when I went onto ChatGPT to ask it for advice ahead of this challenge, that's something it recommended, is gradually, bit by bit, you remove a processed snack and you replace it with something unprocessed. So that's something I need to work on. Keep that attitude of we haven't failed. The only time I'm going to fail this challenge is if I decide to stop doing it. And that is what's happened to me in the past, where I've created content about my health journey, but when I felt like my health journey isn't going the way that I planned and wanted, then I felt like I failed. I stopped making content for the channel, and all I saw happen was that I failed harder. I made more poor choices. I gave up, and I took my foot off the gas when it came to my health journey. I saw my health getting worse. I saw my weight increasing, and I felt worse about it. So I don't want that to happen now. I'm going to keep going, and we'll be back next week. I'm going to make better choices. We're going to have a better week going forward. What has that all look like when it comes to weight loss? Well, I haven't lost any weight, which is something I was worried about coming to the end of the week. I have actually gained 0.4 of a pound, so it's not terrible. But at the start of this challenge, I weighed 154.2 pounds. And then this morning when I weighed myself, I was 154.6 pounds. So I'll be absolutely lying if I said that hadn't upset me. It had upset me a little bit, but I do not want that to define me or this challenge. As part of this challenge, I do want to lose weight. I'm not going to change my view there. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter anymore. It does. And I do absolutely believe that losing a bit of weight will help me to be healthier. I think it's all wrapped up together, but I don't think that on its own, losing weight is the solution to improving my health. It is packaged. It's about sleep, it's about eating better, it's about moving my body and weighing a bit less. So I will be back next week with all the updates, and in the meantime I'm making as many short videos as time allows around my busy schedule, just to further hold myself accountable really there. So I'm just aiming on giving a snapshot of the food I'm having. If I'm recording the food I'm having, sometimes it just makes me think, are you sure you want to have this now? So I will see you in next week's video and over on my shorts. Bye!